I'm about to share with you 6 super simple camera movements that are used constantly in film and video. If you want to shoot and create videos that actually hold your audience's attention, not learning these camera movements isn't an option. Hi, I'm Teresa with InVideo, and in today's video I'm going to be taking you through the 6 most commonly used camera movements that form the backbone of every video you've ever seen, from your favorite movies to the vlogs you watch on YouTube. Not just that, but I'll show you exactly how you can start using these camera movements in your own videos, no matter what kind of videos you're creating. Sounds super useful, right? Let's jump in. First on our list is the most common camera movement, the pan. The pan shot is the bread and butter of many filmmakers out there. This is basically when you rotate your camera from left to right or right to left, and it can be used for a multitude of things. It can be used for revealing information, literally just by showing a part of the scenery that you didn't see before. It can also be used to follow a character's action, and it can also be used to establish the location and the context of a scene just by showing you around the setting of the scene more. Wes Anderson is known for using pan shots in a way that really draws the audience's attention to whatever new information is being revealed. In these examples from Grand Budapest Hotel, the pan shots are really noticeable. As you can see, they're not subtle at all. So when you watch them, you're paying attention and you know you're about to see something important. No matter what kind of videos you're making, you can use the pan shot. It's used in vlogs all the time to show the setting. If you own a small business, this is a great way to show off your product and all of its aspects, or to show your product in a certain context. To capture a pan shot, you're going to want to put your camera on a tripod, and then you're going to grip the handle of the tripod, not too tightly because that's going to make the shot really jerky. And then you're just going to rotate your camera, and a good trick for getting a pan shot is to know exactly where you want to land and then practice that a few times. It's really easy to accidentally overshoot or not quite get to your landing spot, so practice it, know exactly where your hand needs to be at the end of the shot, and then hold the still shot for a while. I think it's always a good rule of thumb to get the still shot for longer than you think you need it. I often go to editing and find out that I don't have enough of a still shot at the end, so it's better to have too much than not enough. Next up on our list is the tilt shot. This one is very similar to the pan, but you're moving the camera up or down instead of side to side. So while a pan shot can be used to capture details around you, a tilt shot can be used to show the scale of something. For example, showing how tall something is. Another use for the tilt is to introduce a character in a very dramatic fashion. Vloggers can use a tilt shot maybe to capture details at a museum, or if you're in a city, you can use a tilt to show skyscrapers. If you own a restaurant and you're making food videos, a tilt down can be a great way to capture your dishes. Capturing a tilt shot is going to be very similar to capturing a pan. Again, have your camera on a tripod, grip the handle not too tightly, and then tilt your camera up or down. Again, it's super important to know where you want to land. Remember that with a pan or a tilt, what you're really doing is revealing something. So you want to land on whatever image you're revealing to the audience. So know what that is, practice the motion a few times, and then go ahead and capture it. The next camera movements we're going to talk about are the push in and the pull out. So basically moving the camera toward or away from the subject. The push in is usually used to reveal the emotions of a character, or just to get a close-up on the details of something in the frame. And then the pull out is used to give context to the original shot, or sometimes it's used to make the shot less about the characters and more about the scenery around them. This is another great movement to use in product videos or food videos to capture details. It can also be used in interviews. While the subject is talking, especially if they're talking about something they're passionate about, a simple push-in can be really powerful. Capturing a push-in or a pull-out is pretty straightforward. You're just moving the camera forwards or backwards, and for this, you're physically moving the camera. You're not using the zoom function. We'll get to that one next. So you're either just going to be moving your arms, or you're going to be taking steps forward or backwards. So the trick here is capturing a smooth shot. Obviously, it's going to help a ton if you have a stabilizer for your camera, but if not, here are a few tips. Move your body very slowly, take steps like you're trying not to make noise. Hold your camera with both hands and try your best to keep your hands steady. If you're capturing this by taking steps, what you might want to do is have your arms tight in at your sides and keep them locked like that. And another thing that can help is if you put some weight onto the bottom of your camera. So a great way to do this is just to keep your camera on the tripod, but fold your tripod up, and then just hold your camera with the tripod on it still. That will weigh down your camera and allow your shot to be a little bit steadier. Before we move on to our next shot, if you're enjoying this video and finding value in it, we would love for you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so we can keep bringing you more super useful content like this. All right, now let's move on to the next one on our list, which is the zoom. The zoom shot is both famous and infamous. It can have a really cool effect, but you definitely don't want to overuse it. Essentially, a zoom changes the focal length of the camera to make the subject appear closer or farther away. So it's often used to draw your attention to specific details in the scene or to a change of expression on the character's face. It can also be used in really quick kind of action sequences, again to draw your attention to something, and sometimes it's used as a point of view shot if the character has noticed something. So although it's similar in some ways to a push-in, there are a lot of differences. While a push-in feels very organic, almost like you're walking towards something, a zoom isn't really something that we would see with our own eyes. Our eyes don't really zoom in on things like that, so a zoom shot doesn't feel like real life. Because of this, you see it a lot in horror movies. Or you also see it in movies that just somehow feel like they take place in a different reality. For example, while The Graduate isn't a horror movie, the opening shot with the long zoom out shows how disconnected from reality Benjamin feels. A lot of video cameras today come with built-in zoom features, which makes the zoom shot very accessible to everyone. This also means that it is overused. So as a video creator, you want to make sure that you don't overuse the zoom. Some examples of when you would want to use a zoom in, maybe if you are recording a quick sequence similar to an action sequence in a movie, like in a vlog if you're filming a sequence of you doing a workout or a run, that might be a good time to use some zooms. Or maybe if you're capturing a sports game from far away in the stadium, you could use zooms for that. You could also do a really slow zoom if you're capturing a large landscape like a sunset or something like that. Like pans and tilts, when it comes to capturing zooms, you want to know your landing point, and you also want to know your zoom speed. A slow zoom has a very different effect than a quick zoom, so decide what kind of effect you want to have. Now, I would recommend zooming manually with the ring on your lens. That's going to give you a little bit more control, and also sometimes using the zoom button just feels a little bit too robotic. Like our other shots, you want to practice the motion a few times, so in this case, the motion is turning the ring with your hand. So basically get a feel for where your hand begins and ends, and practice that a few times. All right, our next camera movement is the tracking shot. A tracking shot usually refers to physically moving the camera to follow something, usually a character. So this is a very dynamic shot that really brings your audience into the scene and creates a lot of intrigue. Take this iconic scene from The Shining, for example. We're not just watching him ride his bicycle around, we're actually following him, so we're in the action with him, which actually raises the tension a lot in the scene. You can achieve your own tracking shot by holding your camera and following your subject, and you're going to want to use some of the same tips we talked about before. Hold your arms tight into your sides, grip the camera with both hands, having some kind of weight on the bottom of the camera will help, and just try to focus on holding the camera really steady. This could be great to use if you're a real estate agent. You could show off different rooms of the house by having the camera follow you as you walk through. I also love using this in travel videos because then as you're walking down the streets of the city or wherever you are, it's like your audience is walking with you. And finally, the last shot on our list is the arc. The arc is basically when you take the camera and circle around the subject. So this can be a great way to reveal the environment around the character without actually losing focus on the character. So you're seeing the character the entire time and also seeing all the different points of view around them. For example, in this shot from La La Land, Mia is the focus of the shot and she remains so the whole entire time. But the arc shot reveals that she's not quite in the same setting that she was in the beginning of the scene, which is an important piece of information because it reveals that she's a little bit in a dream sequence in this scene. The arc can also be a super effective way to show unity between a group of characters, like in this shot from the Avengers. It communicates that these characters are united because you're kind of putting them in their own visual circle and connecting them visually. So you could use this shot in a wedding video to keep the focus on the couple while also showing what's around them, or you could use it in a travel video if you want to focus on the emotion of the subject. Even though travel videos are usually non-fiction, if you're traveling with friends, you could get them to do just a little bit of acting for this shot. Maybe just have them look outward with an expression of awe, get an arc shot of them, and then get a shot of what they're looking at. This will add a lot of emotion to your travel video. So to capture this one, you're going to want to walk really slowly around the subject, turning your camera so that the subject stays about centered in the frame the whole time. It's going to be pretty difficult to get this one to be completely smooth, so one thing you can do is slow it down in the editor. That will help it look a little bit more smooth. Alright, so that's our list of basic camera movements. Let us know in the comments below which one of these you're most excited to start using in your videos. I'm Teresa with InVideo, and I'll see you in the next one.
Đăng ký dùng thử miễn phí phần mềm tạo video tại trang web invideo.design.